Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Betfair Trading Show. It's actually our third episode now, so we're cracking on with it. We're doing well. We're really pleased to have you joining in, commenting, giving us good feedback. That's what makes us carry on. So if you do like the show, tell us, get involved, and if you can, try and join in. I think we're going to try and make it an 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. I think if we can keep that as a schedule, it works quite well. So I know a lot of you guys might be working. Maybe try and take your lunch breaks early if you can, and just tune in for an hour while you're eating your dinner. Anyway, I'm here with Ryan Carruthers, the esteemed trader Ryan Carruthers. How are you, Ryan?
Oh, you flatter me. You're just being really, really nice to me because you want me to tell you how I get so many comments on my YouTube videos, don't you?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I said actually on my last video that I think we should have more subscribers than we have. We've got nearly 10,000. I think we should have like 100,000.
Yeah, we need to get people who are listening and watching to actually subscribe.
Yeah.
Solution 777 says, "Hey fellas, actually I can show these. Can't I remember to do this week?" So Ryan, I guess you're going to kick us off with a question. I don't know what the question is this week, but I don't know what this topic's called. Is it? Do we call it Ryan's interesting question? Maybe we need a more jazzy name.
Yeah, guys, give us your ideas for what this should be called, and also chuck your questions in as well. Like if you've got a fun question, we're not talking trading right now. This is it's just a bit of an icebreaker, get us going, bit of fun as well. And the question has been inspired by last week's video, actually. So I got a lot of messages on the forum from people saying, despite the trading chat, I love talking to you and Martin. I love listening to you. Despite the trading chat, guys, I could listen to you talk about Pokemon for hours. So that inspired me to go, okay, do you know what? I loved talking about Pokemon last week. So I deleted my save on the Switch and I started again with Pikachu. Let's Go Pikachu, which you've got to tell that story as well in a minute. Remember that?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not even a bad story. I don't know how I'm going to make it interesting. It's not interesting.
There's a pretty interesting story for me. I think the guys might like it. I think they'll like it. But it got me thinking. I was playing that game and I just got stuck with Pikachu because that's what happened. But it took me back to Pokemon Red, which was my favorite. So my question is a two-part question and all the audience can answer. Were you a Pokemon Yellow, Red, or Blue fan? And who was your starter Pokemon?
Okay, so you want me to answer this, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Red, because that's the game I had. It's funny because I think Roz had Blue, and then she bought Yellow. She didn't realize they're basically the same game. I think Nintendo do quite well on that, where they kind of make out like they're different games, but they're not. And then people end up buying two games and essentially buying the same thing. But my starter was Charmander. Obviously, if you pick Red, you gotta go with Charmander. And yeah, that's my one. What's yours, Ryan?
Exactly the same as you. Exactly the same as you. Pokemon Red, because I had that, and I was Charmander. Mark Maguire, what's Pokemon? Mark Maguire is BTC's resident red wine drinker, an expert. So this is mad, right, Martin? I commented in the BTC forum in the weekend, and this is the great thing about BTC. What we do is we're not boring. We don't just talk about trading. Okay, so I know that there's some guys on the off topic that really, really, really like red wine. I've had this banging red wine. Oh my God. Did you see the comments on it? People are like, boom, 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 boom. Oh, I love that you've done this. Mark Maguire ended up I built a thread on the forum about red wine. And Mark Maguire was like dropping all of the knowledge. And I was like, but it just goes to show that a lot of other, and I've been in other trading communities where they're just trading. It's like, we're so much more than that. We're Pokemon, we're red wine, yeah.
We used to have the fitness thread. Do you remember that? That we need to get that
Fitness
going
thread
again,
was
really.
good. Yeah.
Because me and Ryan have just been talking about like protein drinks and things to keep you healthy, get your nutrients, and yeah, red wine. I mean, I'm not much of a drinker, so I can't really partake in that one. But it's good that we've got things that include everyone. Who've got different interests. So Joe says there's a big argument in our household. The wife is a clear yellow Pikachu fan, whereas I'm Team Red with Charmander. I mean, I think my wife's favorite Pokemon is Charmander, so I probably got away with that one as well.
So what happened?
What's your one? You haven't said your one yet, Ryan.
Yeah, I did. Red Charmander.
Charmander as well.
Same as you. I just loved Charizard because I can remember I was going to a birthday party, and before I went to the birthday party, I said to my dad, "Can you knit me to the Spar shop so I could buy a Pokemon card and a pack of Pokemon cards?" And I bought this pack of Pokemon cards, opened it up, and there was a Charizard in there. So I didn't have to go and date a girl to get a Charizard.
Have you still got it?
No, I don't know where they are. I know, and it was.
This is what's annoying.
I might
so many
start
people have
collecting
lost
again.
them.
Should I start collecting them again?
Yeah, the difficult thing is though, there's so many fakes now that it's quite you can get caught out quite easily.
But you can still buy the packets of Pokemon cards like we.
Oh yeah. They have new like sets all the time.
Oh, I don't want that though.
3 or 4 times a year.
No, that's
well,
why
they have done like anniversaries of the original set.
Yeah.
So I think like maybe in like 2009 they did a complete rerun of the first set. And recently they had one that was like a 25-year anniversary of the first cards, and I think that had like a few of the ones. So it had Charizard in it, Blastoise, and Venusaur, the original ones.
Yeah.
And a couple of other original cards. It didn't have many, but I think it had the original Pikachu as well in it, which was cool. But I got a few of those, and I didn't get the Charizard, but I got the Blastoise and Venusaur because they weren't that hard to get because there weren't many Pokemon in that set. So if you got a few packs, you tended to get a couple of decent cards. But yeah, I mean, they've milked that cash cow to death with the new sets and things like that. It's crazy.
Also milked it with the Let's Go Pikachu game, didn't they, Martin?
Yeah. Well, this story is so boring, but I'm going to tell it anyway.
It's not.
It's not even a story, really. It's a very small anecdote. But essentially, I bought my wife Let's Go Eevee, I think it was, for her birthday or Christmas a few years ago. And I always like to get things bought. Actually, I've just bought a load of presents for my family today, funny enough. I love to get things done early, so I don't have to spend loads of money at Christmas. And basically, I just bought the game for her, bought it a couple of months early. So I thought, well, I might as well play it first. And then, when I'm done with it, it'll be Christmas, happy days, hand it over to her. I don't see the problem, really. I'm sure there's people out there that buy gifts that are half for themselves, or that they're. And it's like the gifts I buy for my kids. I'm much more likely to buy them a good present if it's something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
If I'm interested in it as well. Like when Lucas showed any interest in Power Rangers, because I love Power Rangers as a kid, I just went out and bought loads of the old Power Rangers models and stuff like that. So yeah, I am quite bad for that. But
we're talking. You say this isn't a story, but this is a story. You bought your wife a present that you played first. So the image that goes straight away in my head is what happened on an evening, sat on the sofa. Was you there playing on Switch? And she's like, "Oh, Martin, do you want to watch this?" You're like, No. You watch what you want. I'm deep in this game. Oh, what are you playing? I'm playing Pokemon. Let's Go Eevee. Oh, is it good? Well, you'll find out in a few months. It just come on. It is a story, and I'm sure
the best thing about that is the assumption that you have that my wife cares at all about anything I'm doing of an evening. She is very happy to sit there and watch, Married at First Sight, Venezuela, or whatever series it is now, because they seem to have about 1 million all over the year. Like, it's not just once a year, is it? So yeah, I think the longer you've been married, the more you'll realise she has a lot less interest in my activities.
Yeah, because isn't it? I heard Ramesh Ranganathan say on A League of Their Own, the most romantic thing I could do for my wife right now is stay away from her.
Yeah, I can test for that.
Yeah, same.
Especially if she's had a tough day at work.
Yeah.
And with the kids.
Yeah, I just ask mine, like, how was your day? And she goes, yeah. It's like, okay, do you want to expand on that at all? No, usual. All right, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, I agree with the captain. I feel like I should say ahoy as well to the captain. Ahoy, captain. Ahoy. Yeah.
I wonder what he's a captain of. What are you a captain of? A boat? I think boat when I think captains.
Same. Captains. I just think How I Met Your Mother as well when I hear the captain.
Really? I could have been a captain, Ryan.
Of
I've got a story for you. So my granddad lived in America when he's dead now, but when he was alive, towards the end of his life, and he started up a business running alligator tours in the Everglades in Florida.
Whoa.
And he did ask me, like when I was quite young, if I wanted to go over there and kind of, basically work for him and do those tours. But I was pretty tempted because I love Florida, big Miami Dolphins fans. I love America. But yeah, I thought better of it, really. I was only probably about 18, 19, needed to do my studies and stuff. Wow. Learn how to trade on Betfair. I needed to learn how to trade on Betfair.
So, because that is mental, because you also then have a relation into strange animals. So,
oh yeah, my uncle runs a insect zoo. I don't know if we've mentioned this we might have mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, but basically there's a place called Lenwade in Norfolk, and there's a bug zoo. It's called Bugs UK, and it's just basically a zoo that's full of scorpions, like tarantulas, ants. There's an ant colony thing, like display thing he's got on there. It's incredible. But yeah, if you're in Norfolk, you're anywhere near that, and you want a kind of family trip somewhere to go that's different, go there. Because it's and you can have like a handling experience. Like we handled loads of these bugs and stuff. Even me, and I'm quite squeamish about anything like that. But it wasn't any spiders. It was things like I had a giant snail on my hand, and like one of those massive, those kind of centipedes you see that are like 20 times the size of our ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good actually. It's a good day out, and it's less than a tenner for entry. So it's not many places that can boast that now.
Which also tells you how tight Martin is, ladies and gentlemen.
I am tight. Well, I'm not tight. I'm just fed up, right? As a parent, I am fed up of going to places, spending like 30 quid, 25 quid on an entrance ticket.
Yeah.
And all that's really in there is a slide for your kids to go down or something. I'm
yeah, I know.
How the hell? Oh, no, wait. Sorry, not just a slide. There might be a couple of goats to look at as well.
I know.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely worth 25, 30 quid. And people go in there, floods of people. They don't seem to care how much money. And I'm thinking, it's nice to actually got a day out where you don't feel like you're being ripped off the whole time you go around there.
And I also like how we're turning this show into Wish You Were Here too.
I know. Wish You Were Norfolk.
Do you remember that? Wish You Were Here.
Yeah. It's that, you know where the place of this zoo is called though? You'll like this. It's called Nowhere Lane.
Nowhere Lane.
Because it's just out in the middle of nowhere. But it's next to it's basically really close to this place called the Dinosaur Park that's quite well known. So yeah.
Because that's another one then for the guys and girls watching. Like, put in the comments fun street names that you've heard of, because isn't there one of the police headquarters on something like Let's Be Avenue? So, which is quite funny, really, isn't it? Like the police headquarters is on a road that sounds like Let's Be Avenue.
Oh God,
Let's Be Avenue.
I don't know if that's true. That sounds like one of those Oh, Mark Maguire, glad he started talking about Florida. Thought you were going to say he could have been captain of Norwich.
Jesus,
Oh,
no. Do you imagine Martin in
no.
the centre of midfield for Norwich?
Oh, I wasn't much of a midfielder. I was more of a left winger with my pace. Because I had a lot of pace. One thing you don't know about me, probably, I was very fast. I was like the fastest in my year and stuff at school.
That doesn't surprise
Um,
me.
but yeah, I wasn't that good at 11 aside. I was better at kind of 7 aside for some reason. But yeah, I think the closest I ever got to being captain of Norwich was just, going to like one of those football in the community things and joining the junior Canaries. But no, I never even really played 11 aside that much as a kid. Only really for the school, I think.
Yeah.
I never, it's weird because I was never in a Sunday league team or anything, which would feel like it would have been a no-brainer for me to do. But my parents just never put me in one or anything. I think if your parents don't do it, you don't really think about it, do you?
Same. I couldn't get in my school team.
Well, I was a bit of a bit part, here and there, sometimes a sub.
I was always a sub. Come on for the last
I
10 minutes.
only really became like a first choice player when I got really fast. And then it was just, we'll put him in because he's got loads of pace. Doesn't really matter what else he could do.
Run you down the wing and cut you in.
When you're playing again with kids who are like half the speed of you, you can just knock it past them and run. I didn't really have to have any particular great skill. But I don't think I ever scored. I'd have loved to have scored for my school team. I think I hit the post a couple of times. That was about it.
I think I scored 1 goal for my school team. Pretty sure I did. But I'm like...
Was that the Spalding High School, wasn't it?
Oh, God, no. Spalding's a weird place. Sorry if anyone's listening from Spalding. It's proper weird there. It's proper weird. I'm just seeing that comment about Florida and you talk about America. I'm with you. I'm obsessed. I love America. I love America. I love American sports. I love American people. I love the food. I love the country. I love going there. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I want to go. It's expensive, though, isn't it, to get over there?
It's not. I found it's not too bad getting over there last few times I've been. It's just expensive when you get there.
And I was going to save up and go to Florida and go to Disney, but Adam sort of said it was rubbish, so I'm not sure now.
Go to one in California. Yeah, go to one in California. It's miles better.
Is it?
Yeah, miles better.
But I've always had the impression that the Florida one was the better one.
Yeah, but the California
Disney World. I think the other one was just Disneyland. It's like, I'll tell you what is good. What is good in California, if you get a chance, go to Universal Studios. Because I went there and it's amazing, like the rides and things and all the film memorabilia.
Pump-Pale North. That is a strange Croydon.
Pump-Pale North.
That sounds like an IPA ale, doesn't it? That you'd get in like a little microbrewery or something.
Yeah.
Oh, there's it. We've got. Oh, what? Dan's moving there on the 25th of the month. Oh, Dan, where are you going to?
Florida.
Dan, can we have a party at your house?
Florida or Spalding? There's a big difference.
Oh, God, I hope he's not moving to Spalding now after my comments on Spalding. I mean...
Nothing wrong with Spalding. Well, last time I went to Spalding, it was to visit someone's wife who died. Like we went to her grave. And I went into a pub, and this was like a Saturday afternoon. There's a bunch of kids drinking, and they honestly must have been about 12. It was crazy. Just sitting in a pub having pints, like a load of kids. I was like, how is this going on? It's crazy.
It's Spalding. Dan is moving there. Oh, man. You won't be that far away from me, though, Dan, because I'm in Lincoln. This is a good comment. And a great photo as well, Jonathan.
Well, Spalding has a nice cemetery, so go visit that. If you're on a day out, something to do. I don't really know. To be fair, I haven't really seen much of Spalding, but you'll know it well. There must be nice areas, though, like everywhere.
To be fair, to Spalding, I went. Sarah said there's a retail outlet out there. She wanted to go and check it out. We went there, and it was just a horrible. It drove me insane. The people drove me insane. Nobody seemed to be able to walk properly. They spoke a different language. Honestly, they just I'm quite a quick walker. Maybe it's just I didn't really want to be there, but I quite quick walking. It's like people walking slow. That drove me mad, and people were talking in a totally different language. Totally different language. But I don't do that much in Lincolnshire anyway. But no, I think we should defo. I love Jonathan's comment as well that the strategies and the psychology has put you in such a better place. Nothing else comes close online. Top class. That's amazing. Jonathan, just comment in the comments below and tell us why you think we're top class. It's always good for us to get good feedback so we know what we're doing right, and then we can lean into that a little bit more.
Are you there, mate? I think it cut out for a second there.
I think it did with you. You froze like.
It seems.
Mine will probably cut out at some point because of that stupid USB thing.
But yeah, Dan, have fun in Spalding. Thanks for your comment, Jonathan. Very kind words. Like Ryan said, I'll put that back up actually. That's what it's all about for us. It's funny because people ask me, "Well, Martin, why do you bother with Betfair trading community? Like, you do trading, you do it all the time. Like, you must be so busy." And it's like, the thing is, it's good to give back. Like, me and Ryan, we make a living out of betting on sport, essentially. So it's nice to actually be able to do something that gives something back. And the strategies that we can create and the software that Adam's developed, it benefits us. Yeah. It doesn't just benefit members. I mean, it benefits us, and it's helped my.
I think you have cut out a little bit, Martin. You've frozen. So I don't know if the people watching this now are just listening to me ramble on before Martin comes back in, or whether I'm the one out and
trading improved dramatically.
Oh, yeah, Martin's gone.
I'm back.
You are back. I think
so you're still there then? Are you still there when it cuts out?
I'm still here, yeah, just waiting for you to come back.
Well, if you see me cut out, you'll just have to take over. So let's get on with the show. Week in review. I'll tell you, I was thinking about the trading review, and I'm just gonna say this. I think the last few days have been really tough and I think the World Cup starting in
mental
less than 2 weeks is having an impact on these big leagues, because I think like my over 2.5 strategy, I had a look today and it's lost like 7 in a row or something, which is just unheard of for that strategy. And I was thinking, there seems to be something going on at the minute, the last few days. Kind of up until Sunday it was fine, but I found that I think as well, with it being the last weekend before the World Cup, that's probably a weekend to go. I'm not going to be risking it in those big leagues where, I mean, because you've got to think, right? Even as someone who I'll go out there and give my all every time I go and do any sport. If you've got the World Cup coming up in a week, you've got to be.
And you've frozen again. Yeah, I know. I listened to the Overlap podcast, and Virgil van Dijk was saying that he's playing for Liverpool on Saturday and they're pretty much playing for Holland on Monday. That is mental.
About that. Oh, can you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah. You're reminded me of like Zooming or something with like a grandparent right now.
This is getting annoying now. But yeah, so my week trading and review really would be that I think it's getting tough for the bigger leagues at the moment. I'd be tempted to leave them over the weekend, and just because they'll be back. I mean, they'll be back soon enough. I'm definitely not gonna trade them the first week back after the World Cup either. I want the players to settle in a bit, and then I'll start trading again on those leagues after that. But the smaller leagues that are carrying on, maybe we need to get a list of the leagues that are carrying on, actually. That would be good. I think that would be a good idea. But yeah, what about you, Ryan? What's your trading week in review?
Mine's been pretty good, to be fair. I had the first half lay the draw, which has been working really, really well for me. I had I had 3 selections over the weekend, over the last week. 2 won, 1 lost, but I was just up a little bit, which is fine, not a problem. But my standout trade is the one that I shared with the community at the start of the season. So my Premier League sort of outright ones, and I use the outright market a lot. I know that people go, "Oh, yeah, well, you don't get paid till like May when the league finishes." Doesn't matter to me because you get your stake back, so it's great. Your profit just builds up, and it's like a little yearly bonus. But I backed Newcastle to be in the top 6, and I backed them at 3.6. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't think they were going to be as good as they have been. Like top 4 is strong. But I've traded out of that now at 1.71. So really strong long-term trade. I also backed Leeds, Southampton, and Everton to go down. Long-term trades. All of those have dropped, which is good. So yeah, it's not been a bad week for me, to be fair. On the trading review, it's that Newcastle trade for me was the standout. I just saw Newcastle's form at the end of last year and thought what they're building is it's really smart. I like the way that they went about their business as well. Yes, they've got loads and loads and loads of money, but they weren't pushed on that. They brought solid players into the team. Like Trippier was a solid addition. Bruno was amazing, and yeah, they just did good, nice business, and they had good form. And I thought they're going to take that into the next season, and they don't have Champions League to worry about or anything like that. So yeah, it was just, and I thought that they were going to do well. And also, I thought if they get to Christmas, because this is another thing for Newcastle, like if they stay around the top 4 and they get to Christmas, wow, watch out, because they could really build. Like they could do something mental in terms of there could be a player ending up at Newcastle over the January transfer window that will blow your mind.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Mbappe, but someone mental.
Yeah, and they should go and get a couple of guys. I mean, interesting you talk about the outrights, because I actually I went back and listened to my Premier League preview a couple of days ago just to kind of see how it had done. And I talked about back in Liverpool for the title, which wasn't great. But I did say have a saver on Man City, and I think that will be all right. I'm pretty sure they'll win the title, but you never know. Arsenal doing well. We'll see what happens there. But the relegation was where I really struck gold. And the first tip I had was Nottingham Forest, because they were above evens at the time. And I mean, they look dead to me. They're 1.5 now. You could easily take a big green there had you back them. The second one I got on and this was at 7 point something, was Wolves to get relegated.
Wow, what a shout.
I mean, the odds were crazy though. I mean, they'd struggled the season before, barely scored any goals. You can see this coming with some teams. Anyway, they're now 2.36 to lay from 7 point. Again, massive green if you got on that. And then another one that you could have made a massive profit on. But they have actually pulled it back quite a lot. And I'm going to see what price they actually came into here. And that was Leicester, who was 17.0 when I tipped them.
Wow.
They came all the way into 2.12 before they've bounced back to around 6.8. I mean, you could still take a massive profit now, but obviously if you were trading that, you would have removed your stake, when those odds came in hugely at the start of the season. So those relegation tips were really good. I'm really pleased on those. But yeah, so that's kind of our trading review. So we should get on to the big question this week, really, Ryan, especially as the internet keeps cutting out for me. Mark Maguire. So we've got a little tips from Mark Maguire here. Outrights, Middlesbrough worth a shout in a championship. 24 to finish in top 2. I mean, that is a long shot. Could happen, but I like that. I like to go for long shots, as you know, in the outright markets.
But especially in the championship, that's a league that anyone can win. Well, or anyone can get promoted into the Premier League on, because if you get, anyone can beat anyone in that league, and confidence is huge. If you get on a run in the championship, we've seen it season after season after season. Teams at Sky Sports News towards the end of the season, oh my God, we've got this team in the playoffs. How would that team ever get in the playoffs? Was it Luton? All right, what? It's mental. You get on a good run in the championship, confidence breeds confidence in that league, and that 100 could very, very, very quickly topple to 20.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You only need the price to move your way. You don't actually need these things to happen.
Oh, I'm having a minimum £1 stake on that. I'm going to have a tickle on that.
So the question this week, the big question of the show, is basically how long should you test the strategy before going live with it? And I'll let you kind of take this away if you want, Ryan.
Oh, let me start. What?
I can start. Do you want me to start?
No, I'll go for it if you want. You threw it over to me. I'll commit to it. So my whole idea around this is I take one strategy first and foremost. I'm working on one strategy over on the left-hand side. And for me, that's where that's the testing phase. I'm putting the most effort. It's got the biggest upside. I spoke about this on a video with my barbell principle. For me, what I'm trying to do is move that strategy over where I can exploit that strategy and I can use the minimum amount of time. For me, that's probably about 150 to 200 selections before I will put money on that strategy. And the reason for me for doing that is I want time. I want to gather data. And I also want to just get it right in my own head, the selection process, make sure everything is going right. And it's data for me. Once I've got to that level, then I can really start to pick it apart. I can start to look at leagues that are working well, or tennis players that are working well for me, because it's football or tennis for me. And I can just get a feel for it. I can feel the odds. I can see what's right, what's wrong. I can make a tweak if I need to. And I know that some people will disagree with that and they'll say, oh, no, you need skin in the game. Okay, that's cool. That's your opinion. For me, 150 to sort of 175, 200 actual selections, that works really, really well. And also, something that I don't think people talk about is I will look at the timing of those selections. So are they Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs? Are they evening games, or when are these matches on? Because that's going to play a big part for me, to be honest, especially now my life has changed drastically by having a child. So I need to factor that into my trading. And I don't think enough people look at that, even in their testing, because they build these strategies that they think they're going to trade, and they might have a winning strategy. Fantastic. But they haven't checked the actual time that they can trade it. So paper trading is great, and I definitely think people should do more of it. But you also need to try and apply that filter to real life. Is this a strategy? And you build that in at the start for me. Is this a strategy that you're actually going to be able to trade because you've got the time to do so? Because otherwise you've just paper tested something amazing that might not work for your time. Might be profitable, but you're not going to be able to trade it, and then you're going to beat yourself up. So yeah, in a roundabout way, that's sort of how I do that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, and I like that, because essentially what you're doing is you're saying, let's get this to be something that I can actually trade live. What's the point of testing something? And I think some people get a bit lost in this. Bots are good. I think Automation and bots are good for that, where if you get to a situation you're like, I might not be able to trade this live, then look into automation, look into getting a bot, and that will place it for you. I actually got someone in the forum last week to set me up a bot for my late goal strategies. And it's really good. All I do is I choose the matches, get the bot in play, and I can leave it for the day. And, I know that trade will be placed. So if you've got kind of automatic things you want to do, then that can be a good solution to that. I get asked a lot, how much data do I need? How many months worth of data? And it's kind of a bit of a how long is a piece of string kind of question, which is why I used it as the question for today, because I knew that me and Ryan would have different perspectives on it, because there's a lot of different ways to skin that cat. And for me, I'm kind of coming to the point now where I've been testing a lot of football strategies. And if you remember, you will have seen that obviously in the spreadsheets I share and the daily selection I send out. All of that is tracked, all the odds, everything, all the results are put in, and we kind of work out what's working. And I've been doing this, I think, since early April or maybe late March. And so we're looking at about 8-9 months worth of selections now of strategy data. And what I'm noticing is that I'd like to get to a year. I'd like to get to a year of data where I can go, okay, this is what happened for this strategy in this month. This is what happened in this month. Because what I'm noticing is that different times of the year seem to have impacts on strategies. Strategies that go for goals. Should we be particularly shocked when the goals slow down a bit as the weather gets colder? Like, genuine question there, and something that we need to be aware of. And so I like the idea of getting at least a year's worth of data. I've always said kind of 3 to 6 months. And I think part of that is that I know people are desperate to get on these strategies. When you start testing something, people don't like the idea of waiting, which is why we've got the ultimate solution coming for you, which is going to be the football back testing.
Yep.
Adam's developing it now. I've already seen into the inside of what he's doing, and it looks incredible. And basically, you're going to be able to go back and see a year, 2 years worth of data or whatever on your strategy instantly. You don't have to go and test it for a year to get a decent data set. So that's interesting, I think, in that respect. That's kind of my opinion on it, I guess. Should we get to some of the comments? There's been a few comments, actually. What's the minimum bankroll? I assume that's meant to be, we should be using. I've got a mate called Daniel Scott. I doubt it's the same guy, but if it is, hello. I think he lives in Chile, though. But yeah, what's the minimum bankroll? Well, what stage are you at in your trading? This is like a lot of questions we get where it's like, you ask a general question, but really we need some information about you. We need to know, well, what stage are you at? Are you a beginner? Because if you're a beginner, you should just be using a small bankroll. You should be using very small stakes and building up gradually and working it all out. Now, if you're more of an advanced trader, you can think about using a bigger bankroll. So yeah, what level are you at, and what is your current aim? I think that's the key to that. Any thoughts, Ryan?
For me, yeah, I'm pretty straightforward with this. I find that a lot of the times when people ask this question, they are more beginners. So just go, what can you afford to lose? That's your bank. Use that. I'd much rather, and I spoke about this on my video actually this week. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, I'm saving up for my bankroll, and I'm adding £20 a month or whatever." And in a year's time, I'll have the dream bank. And I just go, for me, there's no such thing as a dream bank. Use what you can afford. I would much, much, much rather you use 20 quid. That's all you can do. And just use, you can get under the £1 stakes, the minimum. You can get under it. Then very, very, very much you're going to learn so much more by just being active in the markets. And Daniel Scott has actually added a couple of questions here. Still a beginner, been losing money for 5 years now. I would like to unpack that a little bit as well. But yeah, for me, just use what you can afford to lose and just use 2, 3-4% of that bank, you're going to get so much more data, understanding, knowledge. One strategy, one sport, go for it. Put all your effort into that.
Yeah. And one thing I'd say on that as well is when you use your bankroll, make sure it's separate from your money.
Yeah.
You know, the whole thing about having money you can afford to lose is that you're not including it as part of your wealth. So, you know, because I've seen people and they've said, oh, well, that was actually money that I could have used for this. It's like, well, you can't look at it like that because you've got to separate it out as money for your trading bankroll. Okay, let's move on to solution. How can I find a bot and how easy is it to set up? Well, if you're a member, just get on the forum. There's actually a couple of threads talking about automation and people who are sharing bots that they've created.
That's
and also
amazing.
people, I know, and also people that are willing to help you create bots for strategies that you need. So get on there and you'll get the help you need.
We had that today, actually, Martin. Did you see the new member? I know you saw it because you commented as well, but we had a new member join and their specialist bot build in BetAngel. And they literally said, if anyone wants any help with BetAngel automation, message me. So that's amazing.
Oh, can we get him on Fairbot? Because that's the one I use. You can build me some.
Yeah, true.
Okay. So if you started with £100 balance, what would be your point system? I assume that means I keep blowing my trading balance. I've got a really good article actually on this. So if you search Betfair trading community and then something like bankroll management or how much do I need bankroll management on Google, it'll come up. But basically read the blog post because I talk this through and essentially tell you how you basically, if you use my strategy of bankroll management, you won't blow a bankroll. You just can't because there's so much risk management involved. I mean, for example, if you lose half your bankroll, you half your stakes. So you can imagine how long it would actually take you to lose a bankroll. That's why I'm always amazed when someone goes, oh, I lost my bankroll this weekend. And I'm thinking, geez, it would literally take me thousands of trades to lose my bankroll. What the hell are you doing? But a lot of it's just always overstaking, isn't it? And I know it's easy for me to say from the other side and being professional, but you know, if you want to get to the professional level, you've got to act properly with your bankroll. You shouldn't be blowing bankrolls, but it does happen when you're overstaking, and it happened to all of us at some point because we didn't have the discipline. But read that article if you can; it's a really good one. I mean, if I had £100, I'd be using £1 stakes. Simple as. Maybe £1 to £2 if you're trading rather than just betting in play, you know, set and forget, which is a lot of what I do. I mean, ideally, I'd want to be 250 bets deep, even using £1 stakes. So that shows kind of how risk averse I am with bankroll management. Do you analyze data season versus season? I'm coming up to 2 years of data. I'll let you answer one, Ryan.
Yes, I do. Season to season, because there is variances in that. There's variances in managers, teams, players, the style that a football team is moving towards. And actually, one of the best things I find with Google Sheets is you can add comments as well. So I add comments to the team. So, for example, when Crystal Palace got Patrick Vieira over, I added that as a comment on the sheet. And because I knew that they were going to play a different style of football, you know, they had a lot of players leaving the end of that season on free transfers that played a certain type of football that was now not going to be like that anymore. So I added that because it's great to analyze your data, but you also need some context to it.
Yeah.
And you're never ever going to remember everything that happened that season. So having notes about that, having like a change log, for example. So anything that changes within a team, you could just jot this down on a spreadsheet or in Evernote or on a notebook, whatever you want to do. Just gives context to that data. And just slight variation on this. I was asked to comment on YouTube about average goal time, and this relates to this. They said average goal time isn't a very good data set because if you score your goals in the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes of a game, the average goal is going to look like half time. Yeah, true. Which is why you need context around your data. So you don't just look at a data source, you check it, this is exactly what I do with the stats BTC. I've got all of my results, and then there's things there like average goal time, for example, over the seasons. But then what I can do with the BTC stats is go, okay, let me delve into that. Oh, okay. So their goals are scored in the first 5 and last 5 of the game. So I don't need to worry about that. That data set is wrong then, effectively, for my trading. So yeah, I analyze it. I love it. I'm a geek.
Yeah, and I think, and this is the beauty. If you're a horse racing member, you'll already know this. If you go back through the back testing, we've basically got 2 years worth of data now on the back testing, and you can actually see, like, oh, April 2021, this strategy would have made X. April 2022, this strategy made X, and you can go, okay, in both months it lost money. Maybe April isn't a month to trade, or you might go, 1 month made money, 1 month lost money. It just shows that there's variance. I don't need to worry. April, is a fine month to trade. It's just an up and down month. But it's interesting. And again, as you get more and more years worth of data, again, that becomes more and more valid. So yeah, I like that one. Okay, I'm doing the same with automation in simulation mode, testing the strategies you guys put out. That's good. Although it wouldn't have been that good for you the last few days. And I'm blaming the World Cup rather than my strategies for that. This is Daniel's comments from earlier that we mentioned. So I'll just
Daniel, just touching on that. Daniel, if you send an email to info@betfairtradingcommunity.com and put the subject line of FAO Ryan, just let rip on that email, buddy, and I'll pick that up for you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't talk a lot about premium charge, mainly because most people aren't going to be on it. But unfortunately, we have hit that threshold. I think we spoke about this with Adam a few months ago. No, actually, maybe just a few weeks ago. Betfair actually trialed with us. I don't know if they did this with anyone else who's on premium charge, but they actually sent a message saying we're going to trial putting you on 0 premium charge. And see how that goes. I don't really know what the ploy was on that, whether they're trying to see if people will trade more, maybe they'd make more. But it's back on now, so they obviously didn't enjoy not taking money.
And for me, Neil, I've been trading since I was 18 on the Betfair exchange. I am 34. I hit that well early into that career.
And the thing is, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I still love trading. It doesn't matter to me. And people say, oh, premium charge affects the value of your strategy. Well, Betfair once said to me, you don't pay tax on that money you earn, though, do you? And I go, no. They go, well, if you earn that amount of money, how much tax would you pay on it? Yeah, true. But it doesn't. I'm still making a profit. It doesn't, and people say, and this annoys me when people say this, oh, premium charge affects the value of your strategy. No, it doesn't. Your strategy still works. You still make money from it. You only pay on your profit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect it.
And this is the thing. It's basically exactly the same as income tax. That, if you're turning around and you're on the 40% threshold or whatever for income tax, if you're turning around and complaining about that, you're in a very privileged position because it means you've earned enough money and a lot more money than most people. And so, yeah, it's one of those situations where, are we going to sit and cry from our ivory towers about premium charge, Ryan, when we know most traders would, give anything to be making money on Betfair? It's a nonsense to worry about that. And that's why people worry about, I've noticed people always worrying about stuff like this before they're anywhere near that level. And it's just like, people always worrying about stuff with Betfair. And I'm just like, I don't worry about that stuff and it's not harmed me. So what value do you actually get from worrying? I don't know. Jonathan's got another question. When laying, are you using your stake as a percentage of your bank or the liability? For me, it'd be liability. Yeah, just because obviously, if you're laying something at 10-1 and you don't use liability, you could end up, risking 20. Let's say you're using 2 points stake, you're risking 20% of your bankroll. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't take you long to go bust if you had a bad run. I go from trader to gambler, have to change my mentality. Set and forget's quite good though.
Look at me and you. We were both like, whoa, we knew it. I think the future of trading is automation for most people. Exactly what you were going to say. Set and forget. You don't think about it. You set it up in the morning. You let it do its thing. You come back and it does the trading for you. So you just have to think about it.
Definitely. How far down do you know what? I am currently testing the National League. How far down the English leagues do you trade? Andrew asks, just for the podcast listeners. I trade the National League. Well, I'm testing it. I'm not really trading it at the moment, but I'm not sure. I think it's probably too low, if I'm honest. But then what does your data say? Should you trade the National League or not? There's some strategies where I'll trade the Germany Regional Liga leagues, which are, but some of them have been really good for my strategies. So why the hell would I dismiss it? If there's money there, if there's liquidity, this is the other issue you'll get with some of these lower leagues. I mean, there's some leagues I just will not trade. So the Mertil Bank League, which is Hungary's second division, comes up in my filters a lot. No chance. Estonia, for me, no chance. Just too small. It used to be Faroe Islands, but they never seem to pop up. Okay, so let's go down to the next one. Hi guys, been following for a few months. Thanks for the great information on here and the podcast. Keep up the great work. Thanks very much, Martin. Great name as well, Martin. Well done. Mm-hmm. Well done on being named well.
Any relation to Mick Fanning?
Yeah, Dakota. Any plans for one-to-one trainings from Solution? He needs to give some solutions. He's asking a lot of questions. Any plans for one-to-one training? I know. Any plans for one-to-one training?
You're going to make me answer that, aren't you?
No, I'm happy to answer this. We kind of do one-to-one training because we have the private coaching section on the forum. That is for one-to-one training. So if you don't know, if you're a member, you can go on the forum and there's a section there that's just for you, me, and Ryan. We're the only ones that can see that. None of the other members see it. And basically quite a few people use it. It's really good. And we work with them one-to-one. We really work with them through their things. In terms of if people are after kind of an over-the-shoulder one-to-one session for training, I mean, it's just not practical. How would we have time to do that for everyone? And also, how much should we have to charge for something like that? Because of the hours it would take. I'm not really keen on that. Maybe it changes at some point down the line. But I mean, like I say, I don't really want to charge people hundreds of pounds for an over-the-shoulder session. It's just, there's better ways of doing it. We can work with you just as effectively one-on-one in the forum. So confidence of new members. Not sure what they mean, whether they mean to get confidence in new members. Again, we can work with you on the one-to-one. I mean, you're getting 2 pro traders looking at what you're saying, working with you, able to feedback, able to give you advice, able to share documents, things like that, which a lot of people show spreadsheets and we analyze their data and things like that with them. There's nothing you can really get from like a Skype call, for example, with me and Ryan that you can't actually get from that.
I'm just going to jump in there as well, Martin. I've actually done some one-on-one stuff years ago. And I've also done some recently where I spoke to members and we're trying to sort of rebuild a way of the forum. And do you know what? what came out of it, all of the ones I've done, it came out of, I can tell you what to do. Whether you do it or not is totally up to you. So that's just what happened for me. That's how I built that's why I built Super Trader into the BTC forum, because that is like 16 years of trading and helping thousands of traders now. If you go through those videos and you apply it and you do the work, it will give you the basis to work out what's wrong with your trading, to then come to us and go, I'm doing this, how can I solve it? And we go, that's exactly what you should do.
Yeah. And Ryan is working so hard on these training programs. And people don't see it, obviously, from behind the scenes, but me and Adam do. We talk about it in our weekly meeting, which we're going to have in a minute. So we won't have that much longer on this show. But yeah, I mean, the work Ryan's doing to basically create the pathway, the perfect pathway for you to become pro trader is fantastic. Let's just rattle through the last ones, Neil. Does Fairbot work on Apple Mac? Yes.
Yes, you need crossover, and then you don't have to install Windows.
Mark's making a point about the National League. There's great value
I
in it.
like the National League.
There you go. Dan S. There's a lot of Dans today. I've used set and forget on horse racing for around 3 or 4 years now. I've never mastered traditional trading. Well, if you're making money from set and forget, you know, what's the problem? You don't really need to worry too much. Like, I mean, you know, Dan, it's just a question for Dan S. Carlos saying hi and then bye. I don't know if he was offended by us or something, or
that sounds like my daughter. That she walks in, hi, bye.
I think he's maybe having a quick sandwich or something. Dan went full time. Well, if you've gone full time, Dan, you're obviously doing well. Good on you.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
I'd like to chat to you as well, Dan. Like email in info at Betfair Trading Community or Twitter. I'm spending loads more time on BTC Twitter.
Yeah, you are quite into your Twitter these days.
I love Twitter.
I know you're a fan of Elon Musk, so that makes sense.
Big fan. So's Adam.
I was actually wondering because, you know, Liverpool, we'll end on this, but Liverpool, big news this week. We haven't discussed it.
Big news.
Pink up for sale. I'm just wondering, Carruthers Capital, is there any chance you're going to be investing in Liverpool?
I can't get anywhere near that price. Yeah. I think that's going to be, this would be probably a great debate to talk about it next week, maybe. But I think, I think it's mental. I can't get anywhere near that. It'll be Saudi money, state money, or American.
You'll like this. I tried to buy a share for the Green Bay Packers, right? Because, you know, they always put their shares up for sale every few years when they need money for like developing the stadium. And they're fan owned. They're the only American sports team that's fan owned. And the shares are useless. They're basically essentially worthless. And they cost, I think, about $300. So it's ridiculous to do. But I thought I'd look into it. But I couldn't because you have to be American or Canadian, which, you know, I think it's bad, really. They should let anyone do it. I mean, it doesn't cost them anything, does it? And it's a meaningless share.
Well, that league.
But imagine having that on your wall and saying you're part owner of an NFL team.
Yeah, because the NFL is built to make owners money.
But not those shareholders.
No, not the Green Bay Packers. But I think that's why we've got a lot of American-owned.
Oh yeah,
Premier League.
Well, if you think about it, a lot of them bought for clubs for like 300 million a few years ago, and now they're worth 3 billion.
That's Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, what other investment have you made that's gone up 10x in that time?
And it's sport. It's fun.
I know, it's crazy. All right, guys, we're going to call it there. Or we're going to miss our meeting. Hope you've enjoyed today's show. It's been really interactive. We've had more people watching, which is great. We've had a lot more comments, so I think we'll keep carrying on with it. It's great to hear from you guys. And if you are watching this and you're not watching it live, please still comment. We might feature your comments next week. And don't feel like you can't just because the show's over. And we'll be back with a good topic next week.
See you then.